Good morning, and welcome to Sports Reports. I'm Eric Miller, and this morning we're joined by Sports Information Director Bill Morgal. Bill, thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Eric. Thanks.
Obviously, it's a good thing that we can get you out of the office, so we just have a few questions for you. Question one is, you came to Shippensburg as an undergrad student. What was your major when you first got here?
So I arrived at Shippensburg after 2 years at community college in Maryland. I'm from Howard County near Baltimore. I got my associate's degree down there in liberal arts and came here as a communications journalism student, focusing in print media, and that was the area I chose to study. I got into the newspaper at community college, and we went with ComJourn.
And then obviously when you were here on campus, you got involved in the sports information department. How did that process start for you?
It was really on a whim. I was a student who needed a job, and I walked into the sports information office 2 or 3 days as my time as a student in 2004. I guess they still had emails going out back then. I walked in and said, "Hey, I like sports. Can I help?" The guy was like, "Sure, let's do it." I started working scoreboards and doing some very small tasks back then as a student, and now I guess 14 years later they have me in charge of it. So that's how it started.
And 14 years later, you're obviously working a lot of different events on campus. What are some of those sporting events that you work for?
So it's really hard to give a quick summation really of sports information, but we handle a lot of behind the scenes roles for the athletic events that are on campus. So we have 20 sports teams at SHIP that are official intercollegiate athletic teams. The sports information office is responsible for the game management aspect of that in many ways. We have to keep statistics. We have to help at each event where there's public address announcing and scoreboards and things like that. We have to make sure that those roles are met, the statistics are met, and then handling the public relations side of things afterward, where there's, if there's media requests, if there's interviews, if there's things like that, and also reporting to the NCAA and posting to ShipRaiders.com and the local media. There's many aspects of it, but pick the sport and there's roles that we have to fulfill.
So obviously you said you have a very busy schedule with trying to keep up with different sports. Can you tell us a daily routine that you normally have on a typical day?
I'll do my best. One of the things about sports information is that your daily routine changes from day to day. One of the things that is always amusing too about this line of work is that say you're a fall sport and you're like, oh my goodness, these 2-3 months are so busy, you're so busy, and then finally their sport ends. But with sports information, you just go to the winter because you get new sports. So our fall is crazy, our winter is crazy, and our spring is crazy, and then we have about 5 weeks in the summer, 6 weeks in the summer to try to get ready for the fall to just start all over again. So the spring is volatile from day to day because when you have weather and events that are impacted by weather, you could plan on having a baseball game outside and working that, and then it rains, and then you have to get ready to do it the next day or whenever they reschedule. We have to produce programs for all of the events that we host, so there's a lot of times where you put together programs and other things like that. There's NCAA reporting. There's award nominations where you have to nominate players for certain post-season awards. There's awards getting named for the seasons that just ended while you're in, so if you're in the spring, winter awards may come out. You have to do publicity for that. So from day to day, you never really know. You look to see if there's events that day. If there are events that day, you're going to do a little bit of work and then get ready to host that event. If you don't have events, you're going to get ready to host the events that are coming up in the oncoming days and go from there.
So since you've been here for 14 years, what are the things that have actually changed that you've been a part of for the sports information?
So it's remarkable to see how just technology in general has changed over the last 10 to 15 years. Certainly it's impacted our line of work a lot. We're moving more and more toward digital. We're being encouraged to produce digital content. Whether that's in the form of videos, in other areas. 3 to 4 years ago, we were not doing highlights for any of our sports, and now we're trying to do that on a regular basis with video and content. Social media has evolved before our eyes over the last 5 years. When I started this, we had no social media accounts. We barely had a website, so it's all, and that's the thing, you go to school for it, and, you're ready to do it, but you literally have to learn everything on the fly. We're learning just as much now, people in this line of work don't necessarily know how to do certain things, but they got to learn quick because that's how everybody has to do it. So we're certainly, I think moving a little bit more toward digital coverage and things like that. We still have to handle the traditional medias and, the coverage that we do on a, day-to-day basis, but that's, I think, where we're moving, and whether or not I like social media, I have to learn it and adapt to it.
And so what are the other changes that you see coming in the near future? I guess with technology, obviously social media is something that's still new to you guys. Do you see something else that you guys are implementing in sports information?
It's maybe a little hard to say from the standpoint of, I think we're definitely moving in that direction digitally. Different offices handle it different ways. There are some offices that are staffed more than others where there's more people that have the ability to do more things. With us, we have a very small staff. As you are aware a little bit, there's myself and there's a student staff. So we can't necessarily do all of the things that we would like to do, but really I think the overarching thing, and not to ramble too long on you here, but when I first started this position about 10 years ago, media covered us a lot. Outside media would come to campus and cover us semi-regularly, whereas now newspapers are hurting significantly and other outside media are hurting. We have become sort of our own media. So, as a public relations wing for the university, which is what we do, we produce our own content, and in a way, we're our own television station, we're our own newspaper, we're our own everything for the SU athletics teams, because if no one else is out there to cover us, I want to make sure that we do our best to cover the deserving athletes and the teams that we have and showcase what they're doing. So whether or not that's what we're ready for, that's what we have to be ready for.
Sounds good. And again, thank you for coming on to the show. We're running out of time. You've just heard Sports Reports with Eric Miller and Bill Morgal, our SID Sports Information Director. Thank you guys and have a great day. This is Eric Miller reporting for SU TV.